My mom screamed, "You've been a total burden since the day I had you." Then she heaved my luggage onto the yard and ordered. They called me a burden, screamed it at me actually. But what they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the real burden wasn't me. It was their dirty secret. And I was about to expose every single painful piece of it. My name is Michael, and for as long as I can remember, I felt like I was always just one step out of place. I grew up in a small house on the edge of town with my mom, dad, and my younger sister. We weren't exactly poor, but my parents never missed a chance to remind me that every single penny spent on me was a profound, almost saintly sacrifice. Birthdays, school trips, even a new pair of shoes. It always came with a lecture about how lucky I was, how they hadn't just left me to fend for myself. I was the quiet kid. The one who got decent grades, worked after-school jobs, and pretty much stayed out of trouble. But to them, none of that counted. My sister, she could crash the car into the mailbox, and it was always, "Oh, kids make mistakes." But if I came home 5 minutes late from my shift at the grocery store, I got a full-blown speech about respect and pulling my weight. Over time, I learned to keep my head down, to avoid conflict at all costs. But deep down, a quiet, simmering rage was starting to boil. By the time I was 18, I'd saved enough to buy a second-hand car. Nothing fancy, just something to get me to work in college. The day I drove it home, I was so proud. But my dad? He didn't congratulate me. Instead, he just asked why I hadn't used the money to help out with the bills. My mom chimed in, "Must be nice to spend all your money on yourself." That became a theme, a constant nagging refrain. Anything I did for myself was instantly labeled selfish. When I paid my own tuition through scholarships and part-time jobs, they called me stubborn for not asking them for help. And when I moved back home after graduation to save for a place of my own, they acted like I was freeloading. This was despite me paying rent, buying my own food, and fixing things around the house without ever being asked. It wasn't one big fight that finally made things snap. It was years of these little moments, these tiny cuts, stacking up until the weight became unbearable. My sister, now 21, still lived at home too, but she was treated like a guest of honor. She didn't pay rent. She didn't clean. She used my tools without asking, borrowed money from me without paying it back, and left her dishes in the sink like it was someone else's job. When I dared to mention it once, my mom sighed. "She's just figuring things out, Michael. Don't be so harsh." Meanwhile, if I so much as left my work boots by the door, it was a lecture about respecting the house. The night things truly started to unravel was a Thursday. I just come home from a brutal shift, 12 hours on my feet, dealing with an inventory nightmare at the warehouse. I barely had time to... Full story video added in below.